The moon hung low over the dense canopy of the Pacific Northwest forest, casting silvery shadows through the pines. In a small clearing, a couple's tent glowed faintly from the lantern inside, the fabric rustling softly in the night breeze. Sarah and Mike had driven hours from the city for this romantic getaway, escaping the grind of their 9-to-5 lives. They were young, in love, and utterly oblivious to the wilderness's indifferent cruelty. They traveled here because they both lived with their parents and needed some extra privacy. Privacy that they weren't able to pay for, but they were able to drive to. Inside the tent, the air was thick with heat and desire. Sarah straddled Mike, her hands braced on his chest as she moved rhythmically, sliding up and down his length with deliberate, teasing strokes. Her breaths came in sharp gasps, mingling with his low groans. The slick sounds of their bodies colliding echoed faintly, skin slapping against skin, wet and insistent. "God, yes," Sarah moaned, her hips grinding harder, faster. Mike's hands gripped her thighs, pulling her down with each thrust, their passion building to a fever pitch. The tent walls billowed slightly with their movements, the zipper flap partly undone for ventilation. Unbeknownst to them, those noises carried through the still night air like a siren's call. Not far away, a massive black bear lumbered through the underbrush, its nose twitching at the unfamiliar scents wafting from the campsite. Hunger gnawed at its belly, but curiosity drew it closer. The bear was a hulking beast, over 400 pounds of muscle and fur, its claws like curved daggers. It had scavenged human trash before, associating the smell of people with easy meals. But tonight, the rhythmic thuds and cries stirred something primal, a mix of irritation and opportunism. Sarah arched her back, crying out as ecstasy washed over her. Mike followed seconds later, his body shuddering beneath her. They collapsed in a tangle of limbs, laughing breathlessly, sweat slicked and satisfied. "That was incredible," Mike whispered, kissing her neck. The bear was upon them before they could react. With a guttural roar that shook the ground, it charged the tent, its massive paws slamming down like battering rams. The fabric tore like paper under its weight, pulls snapping as the structure collapsed inward. Sarah screamed first. A piercing wail cut short as the bear's jaws clamped around her shoulder, crunching bone and flesh. Mike scrambled for the hunting knife in his pack, but the beast swatted him aside with a paw, claws raking deep gashes across his chest. Blood sprayed the shredded nylon, soaking the sleeping bags. The attack was merciless. The bear mauled Sarah, shaking her limp body like a rag doll, her ribs cracking audibly. Mike lunged weakly, stabbing at the furred flank, but the knife barely penetrated. Enraged, the bear turned on him, biting down on his thigh and dragging him out into the open. He howled in agony as tendons tore, his legs flailing uselessly. The bear's teeth sank into his abdomen next, eviscerating him in a spray of gore. Sarah, barely alive, whimpered as the beast finished her off with a crushing blow to the skull. In the aftermath, the forest fell silent, save for the bear's heavy panting. It sniffed the carnage, lapping at the pooling blood. Then, as if marking its territory, the bear lifted a leg and urinated on the scene, a hot, acrid stream soaking the mangled bodies and twisted tent remnants. Satisfied, it ambled back into the shadows, leaving the horror for the morning hikers to discover. "What's up, guys and gals? Iceman here. welcome to Horrors from the North. So these are the best bear attack videos on YouTube, so like this video and subscribe to this page. And hit that bell so you're notified next time I post a video. I post weekly. So let's get into it. What is to come is even more horrifying. Not far from that ill-fated campsite, deeper in the woods but still within earshot of distant highway hums, Jeremy eked out his existence. At 29, he was a ghost of a man, skinny, malnourished, his once athletic frame whittled down by years on the run, a felon convicted of armed robbery back in Seattle. He jumped bail and vanished into the wilderness 6 months ago. Civilization teased him from the edges. The glow of city lights on the horizon, the occasional rumble of trucks. But he stayed hidden, paranoid that drones or rangers might spot him. His home was a battered army surplus tent, camouflaged under ferns and fallen branches. He scavenged what he could. Berries, roots, the odd rabbit snared with wire traps, but food was scarce, and his body showed it. Ribs protruding like xylophone keys, cheeks hollowed, eyes sunken in dark sockets. To cope with the isolation and gnawing hunger, Jeremy turned to his vice, crack cocaine. He'd smuggled a stash into the woods, rationing it like precious gold. It numbed the fear, the loneliness, the constant ache in his gut. One crisp autumn evening, as twilight bled into night, Jeremy hunkered down in his tent. The air was chill, frost nipping at his fingertips as he prepared his pipe. He lit the rock with a shaky hand, inhaling deeply. The rush hit him like lightning, euphoria flooding his veins, making the world sharp and vibrant. He leaned back on his threadbare sleeping bag, exhaling a plume of smoke that curled toward the tent's ceiling. "Fuck the world," he muttered, giggling manically. His mind raced with fragmented memories. The heist gone wrong, the judge's gavel, his ex-girlfriend's tear-streaked face. Outside, the same black bear prowled, its belly still full from the couple's remains, but its instincts ever restless. The acrid scent of crack smoke wafted through the trees, mingling with Jeremy's unwashed stench. It was an odd chemical lure, drawing the beast closer. Jeremy, lost in his high, didn't hear the twigs snapping under massive paws. He took another hit, his heart pounding wildly, visions dancing in his head. The attack came without warning. The bear's roar shattered the night as it barreled into the tent, fabric ripping like thunder. Jeremy jolted upright, the pipe clattering to the ground. "What the?" he yelped, scrambling for his makeshift weapon, a rusted hatchet buried in his pack. The bear's head thrust through the tear, jaws gaping, hot breath reeking of blood and decay. Adrenaline surged through Jeremy's frail body. He swung the hatchet wildly, the blade glancing off the bear's snout and drawing a thin line of blood. The beast recoiled with a bellow, then lunged again, its paws smashing into Jeremy's side. Ribs cracked like dry branches, pain exploding through him. He fought back desperately, fueled by the crack's false courage, kicking, punching, hacking at the furred monster, but he was no match. Malnourished and weakened, his strikes were feeble, his movements sluggish. The bear overpowered him easily, pinning him to the ground with its weight. Claws dug into his chest, peeling skin and muscle and bloody ribbons. Jeremy screamed, a raw, guttural cry that echoed through the trees. He clawed at the bear's eyes, fingers scraping uselessly against unyielding hide. The beast bit down on his arm, severing it at the elbow in a crunch of bone. Blood gushed, soaking the earth. In his final moments, terror overwhelmed him. The bear's jaws closed around his neck, twisting with savage force. With a wet rip, it tore his head clean off, the spine snapping like a twig. Jeremy's body went limp, twitching in death throes. As life ebbed, his bowels released, a final, humiliating voiding. The stench mixing with the metallic tang of blood. The bear, undeterred, nosed at the corpse. It ripped off the soiled shorts with its teeth, fabric tearing easily. Sniffing the mess, it lapped at the excrement, then tore into the exposed genitals, devouring balls and penis in messy bites, crunching through gristle and flesh. The beast feasted briefly, then dragged what remained of Jeremy deeper into the brush, leaving a trail of gore. Days later, search parties would find the sites. First the couple's, then Jeremy's. Whisperers of a rogue bear spread through nearby towns, but the wilderness kept its secrets. The forest, ancient and unforgiving, reclaimed the blood-soaked ground, indifferent to the horrors it had witnessed. So let me know in the comments, what do you all think of this horrid bear attack story? And make sure to like this video. It really helps me out, and I'm trying to get the ball rolling on this channel, and so far it has been fire. So make sure you subscribe to the page as well, and I'll see you tomorrow with more horrors from the north.